Am I the a-hole for not changing my name back to what it was? So, I joined the army straight out of high school against the wishes of my parents. Basically, they thought I was just having a semester off after high school before going to college. And since I have a late birthday, late August, I waited until I was 18 so I could do it without them knowing. The day before I shipped out for basic, I sat them down and told them I was leaving for a little while and that I'd joined the Army Reserve. My parents always hated the idea of me going and always berated me when I brought it up. I left for basic, and after I finished basic, during my 30-day leave, I called home and asked them if I could stay with them. I knew they were probably still mad, but I didn't expect them to say, "I don't have a son," and hung up. Fast forward 3 years, I'm in college, live in a big city, and have a lovely girlfriend who I live with. My parents came to visit me, and they profusely apologized and wanted to be in my life, and I foolishly accepted. I had changed my name after AIT. For those not in the military, basically you choose a certain job, and after basic training, you have to report for job training. So if you're an infantryman, you'd go to infantry school. I changed my name because I wanted to leave my parents in the past, since they obviously didn't love me like they said they did. A few weeks had gone by, and they would always call me by my old name and not my new one. When I corrected them, they always shrugged it off. Finally, they sat me down and asked me if I would change my name back. They felt I owed it to them since they raised me and yada yada. I told them they were the ones who left me in the dust, and that I'm proud of my new name. Can't really explain it, but I feel like my new name is just to better me, and that I have worked hard for it. They called me selfish, and said if I really forgive them, I have to show it. And I told them I don't owe them jack and told them to get out. Haven't spoken since. My girlfriend thinks I'm being a bit excessive. Am I? Edit. I feel like I may be the a-hole because I kicked them out of my house for something small, as my girlfriend put it. I don't think I was being unreasonable, but my girlfriend does. Absolutely not the a-hole. Sorry, but this is a bit of a silly one. They don't like your life choices, so they dump you. You leave your past behind and move on. They ask for forgiveness, which you do, but then demand you return to your past self? They're the ones who are selfish. They're the ones who are unreasonable. If they were truly sorry and wanted to move on, they would understand you. I guess, but is it really worth my relationship with them? I love them to death despite what they think of me, and I do want them in my life. Then that is something you have to work on with them. It doesn't mean you have to give in to demands. Relationships are a two-way thing. You all need to work on rebuilding this. As much as you love them and want them in your life, you should realize that yes, they're your parents, but they also did a really horrible thing to you that doesn't deserve dropping and rolling over, just because they gave birth to you. Sometimes parents are kind of horrible people. It's up to you how much you're willing to put up with it. Is it really worth my relationship with them? This is the question you need to answer yourself. It may be the same question but reversed. Is having a relationship with them worth having to deal with them in such situations? Not the a-hole. Forgiveness never needs to be proven. When people make and then act on a decision, they are, at that moment, accept any and all consequences for that decision. In other words, they made this bed. Now they have to sleep in it. And I'm so curious. Why were they so against you joining the reserves? In my opinion, joining the military is an honorable choice, and a smart one. Especially if you want to go to college, as they'll pay for it. Do you plan on going active duty and going to OCS, Officer Candidate School, after you get your degree? This isn't about the name. They want to go back to how things were. You with your old name and in your old dependent position. And let's all forget about the part where they disown their teenage son for a career choice. You can forgive, but you have no obligation to forget. Still has to let them move back into that position. You're absolutely not an a-hole to say. If they want a relationship, it has to be on new terms, where they accept you are an adult and don't berate you for your life decisions, starting with your name. Not the a-hole. Now for the next story. Am I the a-hole for saying I have no siblings when I have a half-sister? I'm 23 female, was born about 2 months after my mom found out my biological father had gotten another woman pregnant. My half-sister, Lucy, was born 3 months after me, and that crap was tough. Kids would ask questions and tease me about it. Teachers would make a huge deal out of it, and would then say she was my best friend and make us sit together every class and do school projects together, up until we were 10. My biological father never cared. He would always dismiss that it was hard. He would tell me a sister was a better gift than being popular anyway and stuff like that, and that I should be proud to have such a cool family. He never truly got over my mom, and he wanted to get back with her, but he also hoped if they got back together, she would take Lucy on too. This was despite him actually marrying Lucy's mom. When it didn't work, he did his best to make us a united family. He would even make us celebrate our birthday between hers and mine. So I always had my birthday acknowledged at his house way late while she got an early birthday. And parties there had to be shared, and even though I didn't want to celebrate, he and Lucy's mom would force me to. But I hated it so much. I knew what he had done. I knew it was messed up and it never went away. One time, I told him he needed to apologize to my mom in front of everyone, so they wouldn't say horrible things about her anymore. I was 12 at the time, and he told me not to be silly, and it was in the past. I ended up choosing not to see him anymore when I was 16, and I haven't seen him since. Lucy tried to keep in touch, but it always made me so uncomfortable being around her. She was shoved down my throat so much, and I was teased about her in our situation, and I never ever developed a relationship with her. Maybe I did when we were kids, but I can honestly say as an adult, I do not miss her in my life, and I told her I wasn't interested in a relationship. I don't tell new people I meet about her. I've always said I have no siblings. A few people close to me get told eventually, but only because I don't like to continue to hide something like that from the people I care about. Anyway, she recently started working with some friends of friends, and we ran into each other through them, which she then brought up the fact we're half siblings, and one of the friends of friends said I always said I had none. It was weird. And after, she got my number from someone and sent me some messages saying I was an a-hole, and it was an a-hole move to not acknowledge her existence when she did nothing wrong. And then we saw each other again, and she told me to my face that everything I was doing was way worse than anything her parents could have done, and that I should grow the hell up and learn to love her. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. Your half-sister is not at fault for being born, but she can't demand to be loved by you. Love doesn't work like that. Your dad and stepmom are really messed up. They prevented you and Lucy having a normal relationship because they forced you to play happy family. While I agree with you 100%, I think it's pretty sad that Opie's sister probably has developed that kind of love for her. Since birth, she was told over and over how they are sisters and how they should love and care for each other. And that's probably something she got to develop for Opie. And being avoided like that must hurt her a lot. Not they, Hall. But while I understand why you don't have any want in a relationship with her, I hope you understand that she is 100% not at fault for what happened. Your dad is. I can understand being upset at your father, but taking it out on her by choosing to not say you have no siblings is hard. I'd suggest saying you have a half-sister, but that you don't really have a relationship with her. I get that. I just can't deal with a relationship with her. She reminds me every time that my father decided to mess up my family and that things was harder over the years. And she will never truly get it because her core family, her parents, were together and are still together. While I had to go through the chaos of divorced parents and blended families and the messed up things people would say to me as a kid. It's not her fault, but I don't think it would be possible for me to ever truly want her in my life. No a-holes here. No a-holes here except your dad and that teacher. You and Lucy are both just victims of circumstance. It must have been hard for both of you growing up. Your experiences and personalities are different. That means the two of you have reacted differently and have different coping strategies. You prefer not to have her in your life, or have to explain all the weirdness about having a sibling when you don't see her as a sister. She wants to have you in her life and seeks love from you because, for whatever reason, she does see you as a sister. Those two are not compatible, unfortunately. Both of you have had understandable human reactions, and I don't think you should be too hard on yourself or on Lucy for that. Of course, she feels hurt that the sister she always wanted pretends she doesn't exist. Of course, you feel awkward and threatened when the stranger you never wanted tries to get close and act like your sisters. There's no easy out to any of this. You don't owe her anything, and you must be true to yourself. But try to view her and yourself with compassion. Next story is titled, Am I the a-hole for telling my husband I don't want to care for his 2 children so he can see his other child? My husband 42 and I 26 female have been married for 4 years, together for 6. I am an immigrant. I I came in the US with a K1 visa to marry him and never left, of course. He has 3 children, 13 male, 11 male, 9 female, from a previous marriage. My relationship with his children was always good. He's really involved in their lives and I respect that. On the other hand, my relationship with the rest of his family is bad. No one agreed with our marriage. They tried their hardest to separate us. Our age gap and the fact I'm 4 don't sit well with them, and they don't want to believe I really love my husband. Well, all their efforts pay off, as my husband's oldest son doesn't want to see me anymore, for absolutely no reason. We had a good relationship before and I don't parent any of them, but out of nowhere doesn't want to visit if I'm here. Of course, my husband is hurt by this situation. I get that. Fast forward, he decided he would see his oldest at my parents-in-law. I wasn't thrilled about it, as I know they will talk crap about me, but at least he could see his son. When he visits his oldest, I have to care for his 2 other children because he has weekends custody and they don't want to go to their grandparents' house. Understandably so. I didn't mind at first. It was just an afternoon every 2 weeks. But last weekend, he stayed a full weekend at his parents' house with his oldest. Not only his 2 other children didn't see their dad all weekend long, but he called them for like 10 minutes total, and of course they were sad. When I confronted him about it, telling him it was clearly favoritism and it wasn't fair on the other 2, he denied and said they needed to spend more time together. He then told me to not start a drama about it. I was really calm, so I didn't understand why he was saying that, but then we cut it short and moved on. But come yesterday, he says that he plans on spending a weekend a month at his parents' house, as well as spending an afternoon every other weekend. Okay, fine, but don't expect me to be a nanny all weekend long, I said. And he was like, seriously? You're my wife. You should help me. As a husband, you should try to fix the situation so we can all be home together, I said. Now, I'm well aware that as a wife and a stepmother, I should be willing to care for his children. And I'm willing to, but not for a full weekend. I don't mind taking care of them for a day, but these kids also need their father too. He was mad and called me selfish. I understand that he wants to spend time with his oldest, and I'm all for it. But I don't think he needs to spend a night there. If his oldest get all the father and son time in the world, he will never want the situation to improve and the other 2 will suffer from it as well. Now for the top comments. As his wife and stepmother, you should be willing to be a team and partner in parenting. And it clearly sounds like you are being a partner and he is not. You are far more mature than your husband. His neglected kids will see the favoritism. It's obvious. Not at a-hole, and please, think long and hard before you have any children of your own with him. I'm glad you see the favoritism, and that I don't make things up. Good thing I don't want children of my own. Most likely when he visits his son, your husband gets to sit on the couch and not parent nor do chores around the house. Basically, he gets a pass for being a parent. He is an a-hole for letting a 13-year-old rule the family. So, he has 3 other kids, but ditches 2 of them with you and spent his time with his eldest alone? When he should be with all 3. Yeah, you're not the a-hole here. Sure, there's some level of responsibility to help co-parent your stepchildren. That's what you signed up for when you married into a family with kids. But he should absolutely be there with all his kids, not just the eldest. If there's tension, he needs to be resolving it, not avoiding it by showing favoritism and leaving you to pick up the pieces. Not the a-hole. This situation is not okay. Either he takes all the kids with him to his parents' house for every visit, or his 2 youngest stay with their mother while he visits his oldest. You are not a live-in nanny, and this is not something you signed up for. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for planning for my daughter to be the only kid to have a private bathroom in the house we're going to build? My husband, 41, and I, 37, have wanted a new house for quite some time. After much discussion and realization that none of the homes we looked at fit our tastes, we decided to take on the project of having our home custom built. We are a blended family. I have a 14-year-old daughter and a 10-year-old son. Meanwhile, my husband also has a 14-year-old daughter, as well as a 15-year-old daughter. In the house we're currently living in, my husband and I's bedroom is downstairs and has an ensuite bathroom. The kids' rooms are upstairs, but there's only 1 bathroom on that floor. My 14-year-old daughter is very diligent about her appearance. She has a lot of followers in social media. People at school always say how good she looks. And she books acting and modeling jobs occasionally, so she always wants to leave the house looking good. She has been very much into the YouTube and Instagram product craze, so she has a very complicated multi-step routine to getting ready. She gets up about an hour early to get ready for the day, but regardless, the bathroom arguments have become intense. Every day her stepsisters complain that they have to brush their teeth in either the master bathroom or other downstairs bathroom with no shower so they're not late. They complain that her products are all over the place, and that there are napkins, stains, whatever else, or that her hairspray smells too strong. My daughter's last name rhymes with Vane, so now her brother and step-siblings call her last name Devane when they argue. My daughter gets upset, and is very uncompromising when I suggested shortening her routine. The bathroom situation was priority number 1 yesterday when my husband and I discussed the blueprints of the house. After a lot of suggestions about various possibilities, I asked my husband why not just give my daughter's room an ensuite bathroom. The other 3 kids have no problem coexisting, so they can have the hallway bathroom and be done with it. It seemed to be the cleaner setup, and my stepdaughters didn't have to complain about the multi-angled and full-length mirror, which was what my daughter wanted for our current house. We told the kids about our decision, and my daughter said, "Yay!" But the other 3 kids were in uproar. My son asked why blank Devane is getting rewarded for being vain. And my stepdaughter said that if my daughter didn't have to deal with my son's occasional grossness, or sharing and waiting for that matter, they shouldn't either. My husband said he's willing to discuss, but doesn't care as long as these arguing stops. But I told them that this was the best decision specification-wise. Am I the a-hole? You're the a-hole. You're literally rewarding someone for not cleaning up after themselves, and refusing to compromise with their siblings, and forcing 3 people to have to share because one can't deal. Your favoritism is showing through, and your other 3 children don't deserve this. You're the a-hole. Get your daughter a vanity for a room. She doesn't need to be in the actual bathroom for all steps of getting herself ready. Surely you can see how this might upset the other kids in the house. I had a vanity since high school, and it kept my sister and I from fighting over the bathroom. Lol. OP or the a-hole. This is such an easy solution. Apparently, she already has one. She just has several products that she uses in the shower that she has to leave on for a certain amount of time, and demands to monopolize the bathroom all morning every day to do so. I don't think my eyes can roll any further back. I didn't invite my parents to my wedding because they always took my sister's side even when she falsely claimed that my fiancé forced himself on her. My sister, female 28, is the golden child. She could do nothing wrong with my family. She is very beautiful and she got away with everything, even stealing 3 of my boyfriends in the past. I met my fiancé 5 years ago. I was in love with him immediately, and I think so was he. That left me reluctant to introduce him to my family, and sister in particular, because he's her type, rich and good-looking. After a year of secretly dating him, I was running out of excuses as to why I couldn't meet my family. I literally thought, screw it. If she took him, better now than when I've invested more years on this dude. She acted precisely as I expected. She was flirty from the get-go. Except this time my fiancé didn't reciprocate and ignored her. One day my fiancé told me that he was receiving flirty texts from her, and even one picture of her in a bra. I confronted her, and we had a row in Mom's kitchen. She went upstairs crying, telling me that if she really wanted him, she would have him. My mom kicked me out and told me he's more my sister's age anyway. About 3 years ago, I was out of town for work for 2 weeks, and one evening my fiancé started a video call on his iPad to show me how he was taking care of my bonsais. He was teasing me, pretending he's killing my plants, when the intercom called. It was my sister, so he buzzed her up. I told him to leave me on call to see what she's up to. She had a very short dress and heels. She came on to him, so I started recording. He told her no multiple times, and she asked him why he chose a loser instead of her. She then tried to kiss him multiple times, telling him to at least try before saying no. He pushed her away eventually, and she stumbled and fell over our glass coffee table. She started screaming, and my boyfriend panicked and called the ambulance. I was terrified. She had injured her thigh and needed stitches all the way up to her waist. My sister pressed charges and claimed that fiancé tried to violate her, unaware that I have recorded the whole interaction. When the truth came out, my fiancé pressed charges for assault and defamation. She didn't get any jail time but had to pay him a hefty sum, something my parents thought was unfair since he didn't need the money. This ruined my sister and her reputation, so she moved to another city and cut all contacts with everyone, including my parents who took her side all the way. My parents blamed me for ruining her life and bright future, and my mom always lamented her and accused me of taking a stranger's side, purely to take revenge on my sister for being more popular and successful than me. I went low contact after this, almost no contact. My relationship with my fiancé didn't change, but it was strained with my soon-to-be in-laws who thought I have brought drama to them, and that their son was on the verge of losing everything because of me. We have a much better relationship now. It took time for them to trust me again. I'm very close with my soon-to-be mother-in-law and sister-in-law, and father-in-law treats me like I was his daughter. In fact, they're paying for the whole wedding. I never told my parents about me getting engaged or about the wedding. My aunt and two cousins are the only ones who are invited from my side of the family. We're having a weekend wedding in Tuscany. My parents are now so indignant that they aren't invited. My mom has been trying to call and text me, but I deleted before even reading. I don't know what to tell her, really. It feels like hate, the thing in my chest, but it can't be possible to hate your own parents. Today my aunt said that my mom is slandering me all over Facebook and has threatened my aunt by boycotting if she attended. I don't know if I should continue ignoring them or confront them. This is not easy. I don't want it to escalate. Now for the top advice. It is not hateful to remove horrible people from your life, even if they are your primary family. Get a new phone number and or block them. I changed my number about 2 years ago when I got engaged. I don't know who gave them my new number. Can you get a restraining order? I imagine your fiancé has good cause. Try to think of it this way. Pretend you are 5 years in the future. Will you regret not having your mother, father, and possibly sister at the wedding? There's no way it will go over well. I won't regret it. Not in 20 years. Unfortunately, restraining orders aren't a thing in my country, not even for husbands who mistreats their wives. Be supportive of your aunt and cousin no matter what their decision, but your parents' intentions for going to your wedding aren't good. They're not to celebrate or support you. The fact that they slander you shows their priority isn't to build bridges with you. You have mended your relationship with your in-laws. Focus on those healthy relationships for your wedding. If you feel the need to message your parent/mother, don't invite them to the wedding. Tell them you're prepared to hear what they're reaching out now, and that you hope they're willing to make their behavior up to you so you can both move forward with improving your relationship for the future. You have nothing to apologize for. They do, especially your mother and sister. Congratulations, and do not let them near your wedding or tear you down. Yes, that's what I told my aunt. That she didn't need to attend if she didn't want to. But my cousins are already decided. I really don't want them in my wedding. I just don't know if I should confront them and tell them to stop or continue ghosting them. Both can lead to drama. Honestly, ghost them. I'm a bit of a petty soul, so I would definitely play up with getting on with your in-laws at all the wedding prepping on social media, because that's going to absolutely get to them. Forgive me for saying, but your mother and sisters seem very obsessed with how they look to others. And seeing you have a great time and be unaffected by their drama would be the biggest middle finger you could give them. If you're posting on social media about having the support of in-laws and friends to make up for not having support from them, and then they're bad-mouthing you, you won't need to tell them to be quiet, because anything they say will just make them look bad. Trust me, I'm not unaffected. I'm terrified of what could happen, and if it escalates to something like what happened 3 years ago. I'm trying to minimize the problem as much as I can. They mean so little to me to care to take revenge. I just want my anxiety to go away. It seems mighty likely you need to cut ties with anyone that supports your sister, including your parents. Sorry, at least your guy's family likes you. I haven't seen them in over 2 years and we live in the same city. Now for the last story. I have had enough of my stepdaughter, so I moved back to my parents with my son. I'm also 8 weeks pregnant and I don't know what to do. I don't know if this is even ethical because it's about a minor. I will keep it anonymous and hope for the best. I'm at the end of my tether here and I feel paralyzed and in desperate need of advice. I, female 38, met my husband, male 44, about 4 years ago. I'm 8 weeks pregnant. only husband I know. I have a son, male 8, with my boyfriend passed away in a car accident before my son was born. My husband has a daughter, female 13, from a previous marriage. Stepdaughter lives with us every other week. When we got married, ex-wife tried everything to get full custody of stepdaughter and failed. But it was made very clear to me, by stepdaughter, ex-wife, and husband, that I am not her mother and I am not allowed to participate in raising her. Stepdaughter basically ignored me and my son in our weeks. It wasn't perfect, but it wasn't hurting anyone directly. My son learned very early not to cross stepdaughter and kept to himself when she was around. I suspect ex-wife behind stepdaughter's coldness towards me and thought this must be hard for stepdaughter with all these changes. I tried to befriend her over the years, but she wasn't having it. It got worse when ex-wife remarried and got pregnant with twins 2 years ago. She started ignoring stepdaughter, trying to get my husband to have her more. We happily obliged, and basically stopped being a mother to her. It didn't help either that the new husband didn't like stepdaughter and wasn't shy about not wanting to raise another man's daughter. I asked my husband if we could take stepdaughter full-time and try to raise her, because I saw that her mental health was deteriorating and that she needed stability. The ex-wife blatantly refused the suggestion, so we continued with the every other week. The twins were born about a year ago and all went downhill from there. It seemed like the worse stepdaughter had it at her mom's, the more she hated me and my son. She would throw fits a couple of times every time she's with us. Break our stuff. Call me a witch if I try to tell her off. It's her house because her father bought it and we're just guests. She would yell at my son, and she even hit him a couple of times, telling him to keep to his room if he didn't like her treatment of him. When I told her not to put her hand on my son, she told me, "What are you going to do about it?" My son grew fearful of her and would ask me to take him to Grandpa, boyfriend's father, when she's living with us. I talked to my husband about it. I told him stepdaughter needed professional help because she's not feeling well and she's making us miserable when she's around. So she started to go to therapy, 6 months now. Other than that, my husband didn't know what to do either. If he tried to talk to her about being nice to us, she played innocent and told him she was playing around and hugged and kissed my son in front of him. And if he tried to be stern, she threw a tantrum and accused him of loving my son more than her. 3 months ago, my son's grandpa passed away. This hit my son and me very hard. My son was inconsolable for many weeks and couldn't really understand what it meant that he couldn't see Grandpa again. Grandpa was a carpenter, so his boyfriend. So since a very young age, my son loved hanging with him at the garage working. Many times when he's there, he came home with something they made together. Butter knives, boxes, chessboards. And for my 38th birthday last summer, I got a stool that my son designed himself and built with his grandpa and then painted. This was the last project they had together since Grandpa passed away a few weeks later, so the stool was priceless to us. We had it in the kitchen. Stepdaughter made a lot of negative remarks about the stool, how ugly and poorly made it was. She laughed at my son's poor taste, and he was very distraught. This was the first time, however, that my husband got very angry at her and asked her to go to her room. She was so scared of his reaction that she went without any protest. This Christmas, stepdaughter was supposed to be with her mother. On Christmas Eve, her mother dropped her off at our house very early in the morning. Her new husband had decided he didn't want her to go with them to his parents' house, where they usually spend Christmas. Stepdaughter was on the verge of tears, standing there listening to her mother making excuses to my husband and me. My husband hugged stepdaughter the whole time, and I tried to fight away my tears. After her mom left, she went upstairs to her room to sleep. I also went to sleep since we don't usually wake up this early in holidays. My husband went to the gym and later he was going to the train station to bring my parents who were going to celebrate Christmas with us. Around 10 a.m., I heard my son screaming and crying downstairs. I ran down in horror. Stepdaughter had decided to break the stool my son had built with his grandpa, and she was trying to shove it in the fireplace. When she saw me, she smirked and said she didn't want ugly furniture in her house. I pulled her away and told her to go to her room and try to get the pieces of wood out of the fireplace. That was when she threw a scalding hot liquid in my face. It was a hot cocoa. I yelled in pain and my son started panicking, so I ran to him to tell him that I was fine. Stepdaughter stood there laughing. I took my son upstairs and went back to her. I grabbed her hard in her arm and started pulling, pushing, and dragging her up to her room and locked the door. Husband came home with my parents moments later. My mom took me to the emergency room, and my son insisted on coming with me. I had second-degree burn on my cheek and neck. When I went home, my husband was so mad at me for attacking stepdaughter by using force to get her to her room. He told me I should have had compassion knowing how hurt she was by her mother's abandonment. I told him that I had enough of this. I'm living a nightmare half of the time, having to walk in eggshells in my own home whenever she's around. My son is a prisoner in his own room when she's living with us, too terrified to cross a boundary of hers. I told him that I didn't know how to handle this, and that it was a mistake from the beginning that I wasn't allowed to be a parental figure in her life with authority. He disagreed and told me that she has a kind heart and needed patience. But the thing is, I don't think she does. She targeted my son's handiwork fully aware of its sentimental value. In my face, because she always hated the fact that my husband thinks I'm beautiful, I just opened with complimenting my eyes and smile. I didn't stay there for Christmas. I took my son and parents and went to my parents' home where I live now. My husband is in panic mode. He's been texting and calling me all the time trying to get me to move back and work things out. Stepdaughter even texted apologizing. You probably made her. But I don't know what to do. I love him so much, but I'm ashamed to say that I hate that girl. My son starts hyperventilating of the thought of living with her again. And what about my unborn baby? I feel sick of the thought of having 50-50 custody of being at the mercy of his half-sister when it's my husband's week. This thought makes me want to have a termination. Please tell me if there's another solution to this hell I'm living. Now for the advice. Stepdaughter is a hot mess, and your husband is in serious denial. Even seeing you with an injury sustained at the hand of his daughter, he still defended her. Now that he's finally seeing consequences of his inactions, he says there will be change. Nope. His daughter needs a lot of help, and obviously the therapy is not enough. Your son probably needs therapy, because after years of dealing with his stepsister, he is heavily traumatized if not suffering from PTSD. Your new baby is in grave danger if it ever goes near its half-sister. Makes you wonder about the twins. Stay with your parents where it is safe. Your husband has to prove it is safe in his house, and an apology is nowhere near enough from your stepdaughter. Oddly enough, she loves her twin brothers and her stepdad very much. I've seen her with them in her last birthday. She was like a whole nother stepdaughter around them. You have second-degree burns and it says she has a kind heart and you attacked her? You got attacked by her. You didn't even touch her other than getting her away from the fire until she did that to you. There was no telling what she might do next, so you had to manhandle her into her room for you and your son's safety. She saw how she injured you, and did not relent and voluntarily go to her room. Honestly, make him an ex-husband. Press charges. Nothing will happen to her because of her age, but you need a paper trail ASAP in case you decide to keep the pregnancy so you can pursue full custody. This is not even about co-parenting. She was hurting your son out of jealousy for a long time. She already feels replaced by her mother with the twins. There is no telling what she will do if her dad has another kid. She put you in the hospital and it tells you off for how you handle the situation? There's no solution other than divorce. Everything else would be unfair to your son. If you still want the baby, remember that not every parent gets 50-50. You could insist on supervised visits only, or that he will only have the child on alternating days with his other kid. However, remember in 5 years she will be of age and can go wherever she pleases. She could even move in with him, and there would be little you could do to stop it. Restraining orders are difficult to enforce and usually time-limited. Maybe he would be open to sign away his rights for a favorable split of assets in the divorce, but that wouldn't guarantee he will never change his mind and drag you into a lengthy, costly battle. Really weigh all your options. It is heartbreaking. But are you sure you want to be tied to this man for the next 18 years? His daughter didn't get this all from her mother. Just be sure you will not come to regret it and take it out on your kid. It is hateful to be constantly reminded how they are causing their parents stress by existing or resembling the ex. I would not raise a baby with this man. He will choose his daughter, no matter how awful she is. It was a huge mistake not letting you discipline her because she has been shown that you aren't an authority figure. She physically attacked you. It is so to your son so often that he lives in fear. Don't put yourself and your son through this hell. I can't tell you whether or not you should get a procedure, but I would personally choose your mental and physical health over anything. It's unfortunate, but sometimes love isn't enough. That's exactly how I feel. If I stay with him, it's hell. If I separate and keep the baby, he will have 50% custody, and then I will live in fear. I'm not sure where you live, but if you document the physical attack, You may be able to get a restraining order so she can't be around when he has the baby, or limit to supervised visits. But it is still very early in the pregnancy. I would have a long discussion with your husband. Tell him it's gotten so bad you are considering a procedure. I hope you live in a country where you don't need his permission for that. The only solid solution for reconciliation I see is if he completely gives up custody of her. It won't help the hell beast's mental health, but it's the only way I can see you living a peaceful life with this man. He can't. Her mother and her new husband would probably throw her out. I couldn't bear it. Relationship advice. Updated. Manipulative girlfriend, 29 female, was pressuring me, 29 male, to adopt a baby. Background. My girlfriend, we'll call Megan, and I have been dating for the past 6 months. It's by far the happiest relationship either of us have ever had. Initially, I pushed back when she suggested moving in together, but we got a place together in February. I'm incredibly happy with the decision, and we're very grateful to have each other right now. The past several weeks at home have been an unexpected blessing for me. As a freelance graphic designer, I continue working remotely and also finally have time to work on a passion project I've been putting off for years, a large paper sculpture. Megan feels lost. She poured everything into her career and quickly advanced to head manager at an upscale resort. The coronavirus has furloughed her, leaving her without a job for the first time since she was 14. She says every day feels painfully empty. And I feel guilty that this has been so hard for her and easy for me. On to the issue. A week ago, Megan said she had news she thought would excite me. She proposed that start trying to get pregnant. She feels now is the perfect time because everything is so monotonous, and a baby would be wonderful to look forward to. I was pretty shocked by this because kids have come up multiple times in our relationship, and we had always agreed that neither of us would ever want them. She says that her priorities have shifted, given everything that's going on. I was starting to empathize with this major change in priorities, but then she added that when the lockdown is over, she plans to return immediately to her 80-hour-per-week work schedule. At this point, she'd want me to take on the bulk of parenting responsibilities because my job is more flexible. This upset me, and I told her that this might not be a good idea. She suggested that my reluctance might just be a symptom of my commitment issues, which have caused problems in previous relationships. She pointed out that I had second thoughts about moving in together, but that turned out to be a great decision. Working on my sculpting project has been so fulfilling, and I worry that a child might interfere. Megan says I need to consider her needs too. I'm sincerely trying, but I'm at a loss as to how we can balance both our needs. She would no doubt make an amazing mother because she's extremely dedicated to anything she sets her mind to. I want her to be happy, but I don't want to make a decision I might regret. Am I letting my fear of commitment hold me back? Now for the top advice before reading the first update. Does Megan know how to make a baby? Does she know they don't come out right away? Follow-up question. Does Megan know that after quarantine ends, there will still be a baby? Horrendous idea. You've been together 6 months. The idea is coming out of boredom and lack of direction. Not an actual well-thought-out plan and care. Neither of you are ready for this. Most gyno offices are actively warning people against getting pregnant right now. There's so much unknown. Partners aren't allowed into sonogram appointments. Women are giving birth without their partner. Babies are being put in quarantine. Parents can see their babies after birth. Is this really what you want to face with your new girlfriend because she's feeling a bit lost? This is a rough time on all of us. Having a baby in reaction to that, especially in your scenario, is a monumentally terrible idea. I appreciate your thoughtful comment. The lack of medical support is something we have talked about and take seriously. How flipping seriously could you be taking it if you're entertaining the idea of having a child that you don't really want under those medical conditions just so your girlfriend will feel less bored? How is this even something you're considering at all in any way, shape, or form? I wouldn't say that your commitment issues are the problem. The emotional manipulation on her part is a huge red flag though. The lockdown could last a long time, but she could be back at work in a month or two. So what then? This is a seriously irrational decision and not one that should be decided in one day because she's bored. I don't want to make it seem like she's manipulative because she's a great partner and we communicate well. Not sure where you're located, but we're in the US, and projections are that the hospitality industry is going to take a long time to even start to recover. Now for the first update. A month ago, we found out it's a boy. My girlfriend was devastated because she's always imagined raising a strong and confident girl. I tried to comfort her by suggesting we try again after this pregnancy, but she didn't like the idea of getting pregnant again so soon. After a few days, she concluded that adoption would be a better solution. She says she's really happy about this decision because it guarantees us a girl, and it allows us to start the adoption process while she's still out of work. I'm excited to become a father, but 2 newborns feels overwhelming. That said, throughout our relationship, my fear of commitment has always created problems. I was reluctant at first to move in with Megan or to try for a baby, but she inspired me to face my fears, and she ended up being 100% right. I love her passion and enthusiasm, and I know that she's going to be an amazing mother because she can do anything she sets her mind to. How can I approach this adoption decision rationally instead of letting my fear of commitment cloud my judgment? I want to have a mature conversation with Megan that communicates my fears while prioritizing our family. I remember your last post. This is terrifying. Your girlfriend didn't help you overcome commitment fears. She manipulated you into moving in together after just 12 weeks of dating, manipulated you into thinking having a baby to break the monotony of quarantine was a good idea. It is a terrible idea, and is now trying to manipulate you into adopting because she doesn't want a boy. How do you not see how manipulative and crazy she is? She's bored in quarantine, so she thought having a baby was a good idea? She wants to put herself and a baby at risk by having to be in doctor's offices, the hospital, etc. She thinks 2 infants is a good idea? My dude, I'm very worried for you. This woman is totally irrational, and you don't see it. Dude's pretty stupid and careless if he already creates a baby with someone he only lived together for 3 months. It's my understanding that newborn babies are the most sought-after age group and in high demand. You 2 are not married. You've only been together a year. This is your first baby. I don't think a reputable adoption agency would even entertain your application. Especially for the reason, could you imagine? Social worker. Okay, I see you 2 are expecting a baby already. What brought you to adoption as well? Did you want twins or something? Them. Well, the problem is she's growing a boy, and well, gee, we just really wanted a girl. WTF? Okay, they probably won't allow Get to adopt while pregnant. This is probably hormones talking. How sad for your son that she's barely interested and really wants to replace him. But like I said, it's probably fear and hormones talking. When she sees her son, hopefully her whole view of the world will change and be beautiful. Also, maybe have a counselor lined up and ready to go. I'm worried about postpartum depression hitting since she has this preconceived notion of what she wants. Actual life may hit pretty hard. Edit. I read your previous post. This girl sounds incredibly manipulative. Oh lord. Reading his last post knowing that she actually convinced him to get her pregnant is so eerie. Now for the final update. My girlfriend Megan had her heart set on adopting a baby girl, and I was trying to be considerate of her needs. I somehow saw a strong future with her despite all the crap I now recognize as manipulation. Last week, she told me that she decided on a name for the baby, Jessica. And all of a sudden, it hit me. Yes, she used the word decided. She never even considered that I should have any say whatsoever. I thought back to all the comments in my previous post telling me that Megan was manipulating me, steamrolling me, and gaslighting me whenever I needed my voice to be heard. Once I saw it, I couldn't unsee it. 2 days after the baby name decision, I told Megan I was leaving and moved back home with my parents several hours away. Megan won't stop sending me angry, manipulative voicemails and texts. After the first few messages where I clearly stated my boundaries, I've chosen not to respond. It's just so toxic. An enormous weight has been lifted from me. I can finally focus on myself, and that's been so good for me. It was hard for me to hear RA's advice in my last post, but I can now say that I sincerely appreciate it. Now for closing comments. Good job! But she's still having your actual kid, and that means you are not done with her crap. Her being a psycho as she is, I doubt it's his kid. She sounds like the type who decided on someone to strap down for cash. Then she decided someone else would be better to give her a child. Despite all her faults, Megan is very hardworking and has made a successful career for herself, so I don't think it's money. If she was going for a rich guy, I don't think she would have picked me. Also, we've been quarantining rigorously since March, so it's basically impossible that she cheated. I work from home and she's out of work, so we've been in the same house pretty much 24/7. I think you're correct here that it wasn't about money. It was just about having someone around to fulfill whatever her wishes and desires were. Live-in partner after 3 months? Done. Try for a baby out of boredom after 6 months? Done. I'm really proud of you for stopping this before getting into an adoption together and taking yourself home. All of us here support you. But like everyone is saying, you cannot use being overwhelmed as an excuse not to lawyer up right now. It's like getting into a car accident and going, I'm in too much pain to deal with calling an ambulance and getting to a hospital. All that does is make things harder and more overwhelming later on. Ask your parents to sit down and do it with you if they're willing. But do not wait on this, friend. Good luck. Bro, what are you doing? I remember your last post, and man, you need to work on not being a pushover. She completely bodied you into 2 kids after living together for what was it, 8 to 10 months? As horrible as human being as she is, why did you bend to that? Lawyer up, get paternity test, and freaking learn from this. I still remember the idea you pushed off confronting your fears. That made me cringe. Being committed and having 2 newborns isn't confronting anything. You need to do some serious soul searching too, my guy. It's a tough pill to swallow, but she absolutely punked you after dating for 12 months. Both of y'all have issues to work on. Good luck, my man. Thank freaking God, dude. I just started from the beginning and wanted to slap you several times. Really glad you're starting to see how flipping crazy this relationship is. Said there is now a child involved, but better you guys break up now than later. Now for the next story. I-35 male deeply regrets manipulating my wife, female 34, into having children. I know it sounds bad, and I know we're not supposed to talk like this, but the biggest regret I have is having children. Our lives are ruined because of me, and I don't know where to go from here. My wife and I have been together 12 years, married 6. We have 2 kids, 2 female twins. We had agreed to be child-free very early on, but as we were getting closer to 30, I just became obsessed with the idea of having children. We were engaged, and I told her that I would not marry her unless we had at least 1 child. We broke up for a bit, but we found our way back to each other, and she agreed to one. She agreed under certain conditions, the main one being that she didn't want to stay home with a child for any more time than it took her to heal. She had an amazing job that she absolutely loved, worked very hard to get, and was extremely well paid. I had a job that I also loved, but was not well paid. I'm in a field where there is a huge income disparity depending on what you do. I got to do what I loved because her job more than compensated financially. We had an amazing life and amazing relationship. We traveled a lot in our country and internationally. We are both outdoorsy and active people, and would take camping/hiking/rock climbing vacations regularly. We make love a lot. Tons of free income, a lot of financial security, and I messed it all up. My wife ended up pregnant with twins. They messed up the epidural, they messed up the C-section, and she had an extremely traumatic birth experience. Now almost 2 years down the line, she struggles with chronic pain and extreme postpartum depression. She can't work at all, not her job and not any other job. She can barely walk more than half an hour at a time without pain, and her mental state means that she absolutely shouldn't be responsible for patients. She went from a high-powered position to laying in bed and crying all day. I honestly don't think there's been a day since the birth that she hasn't cried. We haven't been intimate in more than 2 years. My mom moved in with us to help raise the kids, and she's old school and doesn't believe in mental health. She's not the nicest to my wife, and they're alone all day. There is no one else we can ask, and we can't afford other help. She's in therapy, she's on medication, we've seen all the doctors we can see. I went from low-stress job I loved to a higher-paying one I hate. I work 12-plus hours days and even weekends sometimes, and we are still struggling. I miss my old life so much. I miss my work and my friends, and above all, I so desperately miss my wife. Our children are being raised by my mom primarily. I spend as much time as I can with them, but I barely know them. I don't know what I was looking for when I wanted kids, but it certainly wasn't this. I don't blame them for anything, but I have a hard time bonding with them. My wife spends most of her time in our room and interacts with them when I'm there or during therapy. I don't think we're doing a good job with them. They're well cared for by my mom, well fed, happy and safe, but I don't think we are as involved as parents should be. I'm struggling and seeing a way out. Therapy is helping, but the progress is so slow. I don't really know what more to do right now. I feel so much hatred for myself. We had such a good life. It all went down the drain. And in the end, my wife is ruined physically and mentally for something she didn't even want in the first place. I'm not sure what advice I'm asking for. I'm not sure what else there is to do here. But if anyone has anything to offer, even nice words, it would be appreciated. All our friends distance themselves, and we literally have no one but each other. Now for the top advice. She's old school and doesn't believe in mental health. She's not the nicest to my wife, and they're alone all day. There is no one else we can ask, and we can't afford other help. She's in therapy, she's on medication. We've seen all the doctors we can see. Figure out a way for your wife to get different support. Example, an au pair, a mother's help. Any support is better than a toxic mother-in-law who doesn't believe in mental health and puts your wife down. Therapy is helping, but the progress is so slow. Joining a support group might help too. You aren't alone. There are quite a number of people who regret having kids. Your mother is likely part of the reason your wife is having a hard time recovering. How can your wife possibly recover if she has someone around all the time who is A, raising her kids, presumably making her feel inadequate as a mom, and B, someone who presumably makes her feel even more like that by invalidating her feelings and experiences? You say you have no other options, but you have to try to find one. Get your mom out of the house ASAP. I'm struggling and seeing a way out. There is your issue right there. You were looking for a way out when there isn't one. You struggle through this, not look to run away. Keep doing what you are doing with the therapy and keep working towards being better parents. Ditch your mom and figure out something else if she can't be supportive. It's extreme, but maybe there is a way out through giving a family member temporary guardianship or even adopting them out. For the kids' sake, they don't really have parents as it is. I think Opie is reaping what he sowed, but at the kids' expense. If they won't do that, they need to severely downgrade everything and hire help. He should see if his bank can give him financial advice. At least there would be a chance for mom to start recovering after the terrible mother-in-law is gone. Does she even want to stay married to you, or would she rather divorce you and live a life alone, seeing the twins part-time? What does she want? What does your wife need now? She is very important here. With just your income alone, plus your wife's new disability status, you might qualify for state-supported childcare. You are very strong against your wife. Be equally strong against your mom. Give her the same ultimatum. Talk to her firmly and tell her that you won't be her son, and she will have no grandkids if she cannot treat your wife kindly. Does your mom know what you have costed her daughter-in-law? Your wife cannot possibly heal with your mom there. Agree 100% with this comment. The wife's wishes need to come first, and if she wants a divorce, that needs to happen. And that's the end of this video, folks. As always, leave a comment and hit like and subscribe. And if you want more of this content, turn your notification on to get updated on the latest videos. And I'll catch you in the next one. Stay safe.